Hey, what is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Brutally Honest PUBG. Today's episode not going to be a ton of brutal honesty, as we're not talking about any kind of controversial topics. We're just going with a Q&A off of Twitter for the most part. Questions the community wanted to ask, just about random things about PUBG. So that's what we're here to do today. For the first one, we're going to jump into a question from 303 Apples. It says, any opinions on no ban wave by PUBG since Texas? Do you believe there's anyone in NA comp scene using hacks? Why won't PUBG do a thorough investigation with every competition now being held online? A lot of parts to that question, so we're just going to kind of run through it. I'm not sure why they don't do a thorough investigation, or maybe they do and we just don't know about it. I doubt it. But yeah, I'm not really sure as to that, to be honest. I can't answer that because I'm not PUBG. Do you believe there's anyone in NA comp scene using hacks? There's probably a couple idiots in like the really low tiers that probably get shifted out of immediately. I think there was one in the PCS quals that was not officially hacking, but he had a banned account and was trying to play on a different account, so you never fucking know with those idiots. But I don't think anybody in pro level PUBG is using hacks. That may be naive, but I just don't think anybody's shown any real signs or kind of been like good enough or consistent enough to really be showing anything like that. There's people in the past who have kind of been sus but never been proven, like Tumai from the old wildcard times. He was always had some weird moments and some sus shit, but he had a bad reputation on other things as well, like just his personality and how he treated his teammates was very bad reputation. Yeah, I'm surprised there hasn't been a ban wave, especially for EU, because NA is much smaller, so it's kind of easier to sift those guys out and kind of catch them early. But EU is fucking like it's stacked with players, so I'm surprised there hasn't been more people caught hacking. I guess there kind of has been a few here and there, but they're very low level guys. I think PUBG is one of the games where you don't really need to hack to be good at it. Like the most common is probably radar, and I feel like teams mostly are just like, well, we can just improve like in our rotations and our scouting. Like if you have to hack to play fucking comp PUBG, you're beyond a fucking moron. But that's neither here nor there. I appreciate the question. Hopefully that was a good enough answer for you, Apples. Let's jump into the next one. Wintermelon asks, raw mechanics or more experience? Now this is a kind of a deep question because there's a lot of layers to it, but if you just line it up flat out, everything is the exact same as far as game knowledge, game sense, personality, drive, everything like that is exactly the same. One person just has more experience and one person has raw mechanics. I feel like it's pretty obvious you take the mechanics for the most part. Experience has its benefits, but in the long run, if you're in it for the long haul, you want the mechanics guy because you can teach experience. You can go through the experiences and get that player there, but that person who's more experienced probably isn't going to get much better mechanically. I feel like I'm probably one of those more experienced players that raw mechanics just isn't going to be there compared to somebody like Silers, right? Like Silers is a guy, polar opposite of me, right? I'm not great mechanically, but experience-wise, I'm as experienced as you can get. I've been in every major tournament in the last 3 years, but Silers hasn't been in shit. Like some small EU tournaments, ESL groups, whatever the fuck. But I think long haul, if you gave him some more of those kind of intangibles that I have, like the game sense and game knowledge and stuff like that, you take that mechanics over the experience all day, every day. Because personally, I'm in it for the long haul. So you can teach that experience and you can learn and adapt with him. But you're not teaching this old horse any new mechanics. Like, I'm not going to get much better mechanically. So, answer is, for me, is raw mechanics. So, appreciate the question. Let's jump on to the next one. Ollie asks, what processes do you go through as a team after a bad game, bad day, bad tournament, etc.? How does your approach change? That's a good question. I appreciate this question. Every team is different, and I'll just go through kind of what myself and my team goes through. Now, after a bad game, we'll start with bad game. If there's a bad game, first thing we do, because we sit in Discord, Gunner's deaf or muted, like he's not allowed to talk. So as soon as we die, we're like, give it a second, calm down, everybody takes a deep breath, relaxes for a second, and then the first thing is, all right, I ask, what could we have done better? How do we improve on that game? If we didn't win it, and even sometimes if we do win it, what can we do better? So if it's a bad game, how do we learn from this game? How do we come back next game? Similar situation, similar circles. How, do we want to approach it differently? How can we get more info? Did we know about these ridges beforehand? So I guess the best answer to answer your question is learn. When there's something bad is happening, learn and keep trying to improve. Dead 16th, why do we do that? Why do we take that fight? Why do we take that rotate? Learn and improve on what we're doing. And I think you expand that exact same thought process to the bad days in a whole bad tournament is learn. What did we do wrong? Did we approach these teams too overconfidently? Did we just have really bad communication? Did we have bad timings on our rotates? Were we not playing as a team enough? Were we not convoying as a team enough? Just every single little thing that you can think of. Some details can be so small but can have such a huge impact on how a game ends up. It's so minuscule, the details that come into play later, that it makes that major details. Just like you were 2 seconds behind me in that rotate, and that's why you died, and now we're 3-man in circle 1. Just such small things that you need to think about, but the answer is still the same. Learn and improve and just constantly try and get better. Can't harp on a mistake. What happened, learn, adapt it to how you're playing, and keep improving. And I think that's how we approach it. So appreciate the question, Ali. Thank you very much. Jumping on to the next one. I guess this one's a little more toxic. Brandon asks, which team historically has been the worst at rotating and playing at a professional level? Now, this is a hard one because I feel like most teams who are good or who stay at a professional level aren't awful. Somebody has to be the worst, but it's hard to pick out an individual team for saying, wow, that team is dog shit at rotating and doing all that. Now, there's teams I don't like how they play, but it doesn't mean they're dog shit at, or I keep saying dog shit, but it doesn't mean they're the worst at rotating. Like, I hate how the Rumblers play. Like, I hate their play style. The way they play out of, like, Chuma, or even when they were in Impala, because they got bullied by Trog, and they were sitting in Impala for ESL. So, out of, like, Impala, and yeah, it just infuriates me how little proactivity and how much they just sit on their ass and loot. But it doesn't mean they're bad at rotating, because some of their wraps and some of their sends are pretty solid, but I just don't agree with how they play into early zones and things like that. That doesn't make it bad. The worst professional team I can think of right now that's signed is probably Wildcard. There's only a few signed teams, so sorry, Wildcard, you're at the bottom of the barrel, but Wildcard, obviously they're in opens literally right now because they haven't had great team play and rotations for the most part. Whatever it may be. Maybe the rotations aren't as bad as I think they are, but the wild card that I think of when they're in my head is just fucking send it, just fucking. It's just, but they can also be methodical and get info. Either way, they're inconsistent and they're probably the worst team right now. Now, if you bring it back sometime, like NPL days, there were quite a few teams that were just bad at rotating. Like some of the old Noble teams, Vicious Gaming, Low Key. There's so many that jumped in and out of the Pro League that were just dog shit awful. The bottom of the barrel for some teams. Sometimes they had good games, but they were all inconsistent for the most part. And as far as like maybe EU, it's hard to get examples of teams that are just bad. Okay, here's one that I thought was absolute dog shit. If you played for Question Mark or Unique, I guess they were at PGC, and you watch this video, I don't know what the fuck you were doing. You were always in blue, always doing nothing, just praying for random zones on like some sense. It was just, if you were Unique, listen, if I say that you sit in blue too long, you got a problem, because I love me some blue. Alright, but if you played for Unique at PGC, you were fucking lost. Alright, so that's probably the worst pro team I can think of recently for rotates and how they played into zones. All right. Either way, I hope that answers your question, Brandon. Thank you. Now, Presser Games asked, why did TSM drop the roster, and what could PUBG do in the future to retain big orgs and make the world a better place for all of esports? Thanks for the question, Press. TSM dropped the roster. I'm not sure the exact reasons. Basically, they hired a new CEO. He came in and was like, what the fuck are we still doing in PUBG? And everybody was like, yeah, you're right. What the fuck are we doing in PUBG? And then they got out of PUBG. Basically, PUBG could do a lot to retain the orgs. Communication isn't great for PUBG for the most part. Alex Penn was the worst at it. Smalls was a bit of improvement, but from what I've been told, hasn't been above and beyond in some of the communication at certain times. Personal things come up, whatever it may be, but I just know that it hasn't been great all the time. And maybe that has to do with, Korea not giving information, so he can't give them any information. Whatever it may be, the communication is not thoroughly there. So that hurts always. And then the huge one that people have been bitching about forever, since 2018, when we got some shit hoodies, is team skins. Uh, Team skins. Where the fuck are the team skins? Give us team skins. Sonics won PGI, not a world championship, whatever the fuck. They should have some skins. They should have some whatever. It's not hard to make like an M4 and a fucking mini and a Dacia and give it to the Sonics and just give them some of the funding from that. But PUBG's fucking brain dead. I think every single PCS event, which is a PUBG official event, all top 3 teams from each region, so like 12 skins total, so it's twice a year, 12 skins, 24 team skins a year, happen to the top 3 people from PCS. Maybe it's something small, like you get a fucking hoodie that's dog shit, or a fucking jacket, or maybe like a car skin. Then whoever wins each PCS, so 4 skins or 8 a year, get to pick a gun maybe. Like, hey, we want United just won ESL. Say they win PCS. United should be like, hey, we want a United M4 along with our fucking Dacia skin, and they get 30% of like the rev share from that. There's no excuse for PUBG not to be doing that. Literally zero. They make dog shit skins for streamers all the time. You can make an M4 for an organization that's putting time and effort and money into your game. That, and then mixed with the other final one for me is the rev share. The rev share numbers aren't great. I think they give like 25%. I could be wrong. I don't remember fully, but I think they give 25% of all all the profits from the skin sales, the PCS skin sales to orgs and like back into the prize pool, and that's just not nearly enough. I could be wrong, so I'm sorry if I am, but yeah, basically they could do a lot. Communication, better rev share, any fucking skins, gun charms, even literally anything that the orgs can put their name on and get some sort of revenue share from. Super fucking easy. You can just make jerseys, literally copy and paste fucking orgs jerseys so they have their sponsors on them, and put them in the fucking game, and people would love it, and the fucking orgs would go bananas over it, and people would jump in PUBG. But Crafton and PUBG just seem to be fucking idiots, I guess. Hope that answers the question, Press. I appreciate it. Now, the last one is from Carbon. Carbon asked, in your opinion, what are the best 3 competitive loot spots on Erangel and Miramar? And then my boy Avenger chimed in and said this, but do a top 5. So we're going to do a top 5. So I'm going to switch over to that and pull up some maps. I think we're going to start with Erangel first. So I'll be right back with that. Thank you. All right, so we're going to jump into the first map, which is going to be Erangel. Again, these are top 5 looting spots on Erangel. It's kind of biased because it's my own personal opinions and how I like to play the game, but we're just going to go right through it. So I'm just going to list them all first, and then we'll kind of explain why first. So 1, we have Pochinki 1. That's a really good one. School Apps 2. Shelter Prison 3. Ferry Pier at 4. And I'm going to go South George because I'm biased as fuck for 5. Make this one a little prettier. I mean, do a little bop, bop, bop. There you go. Just Poach is self-explanatory. I don't have to explain it to you. They have prior to everything. They have good loot. They barely have to play the game. It's just drive down the fucking roads to each circle, basically. Good luck. Number 2, School Apps. Pretty similar to Poach. Really good loot. Not as great prio south, but super solid all around. Not a whole lot there. As long as you don't have a dumbass Roz team contesting J, you're going to be set. 3 for me, Shelter Prison. Really good loot. I really like the Shelter Museum kind of combo. 3 vests always. It seems like you're getting a couple in Shelter. Pretty good rotates. I like the melee circles at a Shelter Prison. Pretty fast behind the Milta team. Yeah, that's kind of it for Shelter Prison. Kind of self-explanatory. Bad West zones. Everything else pretty solid. Ferry Pier 4. I like Ferry Pier because of the spacing you can get. If there's like only an alt drop prim team, you have a fuck ton of spacing around here for the most part. I like your melee prio a lot. Melee games are a fucking headache for my team personally, so if you have good access to melee, I'm instantly jealous of your loot spot, and I fucking hate you unless you're Milta, because Milta's loot is dog shit. But yeah, and then 5 is South George. Again, biased as fuck, but I like the spacing, and I like water being on your edge. I don't like teams being able to come in behind you a lot, so I've looted out of like South George, Sev, and Yaz like my whole fucking career basically. other than like some one-offs here and there, or we flex for a tournament, whatever it is. But yeah, I like the spacing, a shit ton of spacing. We almost never have West teams on our edge, so we just have to worry about the GACA team and the North George team, and we have a lot of spacing. If there's usually a West Coast team, we try and bully them early and often to tell them to fuck off. So it gives us extra space, really heavy loot. Everybody on our team has like a 3 vest for the most part, like 2 or 3 vests per game, and 6 or 8x as long as we're not leaving quick. So yeah, I'm definitely a fan. We're going to jump over to Miramar. Again, we're going to do the same thing for Miramar. Just going to list the top 5 real quick, and then we're going to blast through them. Again, so we got Picado, basically Poach. Same shit. Nice fat one. Now, some of these spots vary depending on who you have around you. But I go Minas. Not a lot of people ever loot around Minas. You almost always have like a junkyard as a hard team, but they're whatever. They can fuck off. 3 for me is going to be Power Grid. It only gets annoying in Power Grid when you have a DA split team and or a Tornado Energy split, which is like 22s up here all the time in Americas and stuff. It's pretty annoying. 4 for me is going to be Monty, and then 5 is going to be Chuma. Again, pretty self-explanatory. Picado, insanely good fucking rotates, super fast, super dense loot, super fat loot. Arena, Casino, insanely stacked. Don't really need to go into depth there. Minas is pretty similar, except not a good stack of loot. Really good rotates for almost every zone, except for anything kind of in like this. But everything else is really good for Minas. Any zone. West can be annoying, but the back fills into the kind of the hardships back east because they usually don't end deep west. Make it for a pretty good spot. The density of the loot is just kind of dog shit. Not a big fan of like the looting paths. And then number 3 we have Power Grid. As I touched on real quick, TA split and DA split really make your game a shitty time. But if those spots are clean, then your rotates are fucking clean as fuck. And the extra loot you can get like up here from the TA split if you have Power Grid. Nice and clean, quick rotates, really dense loot for the spots that you're at for the most part. Yeah, I like them for almost every zone. I like the info spots. They can get up to Batulan Rocks, fucking Billboard to look anything east. It's really clean. Bit of a different play style. Number 4, Monty. Again, I like it's basically having water to your back. This shit is all unplayable. Can't touch it. So it's basically having water on your back, and nobody really alt drops. At most, you're gonna have a Pozo and a Val team. Unless you're in the Americas, then you have fucking SG over here for some reason, and Ladrilla on their alt. But for the most part, you have all of this space to yourself, and quick rotates in. Again, DA split team here, southwest of Picado. It's the only team that makes things annoying. Makes it annoying for every team in this area, and really dampens on these loot spots. But really good loot, rotation pass into south. It's fucking super free. Anything on this side, like everything is just pretty fucking free up. Like I like Monty rotates a lot. Probably, I'm gonna be honest, I prefer to play out of Monty than Hasi. I fucking hate Hasi, but we'll get to that. Number 5, Chuma. This map is getting fucking messy. Chuma's pretty similar to Monty. DA split team fucking ruins everything. Just gets it clogged, especially if they go for church. That's fucking AIDS. But again, usually at most you have a Val team, and that's usually an alt drop for most lobbies, unless you're fucking wild card and you just prefer Val, I guess, because you're fucking wild card. Looting Val is fucking dog shit. I don't know why you're looting that wild card. Like, stop looting Val. Just stop. It's fucking awful. Yeah, good rotates out of Chuma, especially on the. I feel like we've had so many south zones around this like area down here. This shit, you just fucking just waltz right in and just fucking get a free top 5 most of the time. It's ridiculous. I don't know how Trog played so bad in ESL, because the amount of south and east zones, like they can just do this and up, or the fucking this, and like it's just so annoyingly easy that it's upsetting how bad Trog did. But Chuma's my 5th. Hasi would be up there for me, but we have like Fish looting this as an alt drop in NA, and 22 looting it as like a main drop. Sometimes they looted Leo and and then you have a team up here, and then you have a team here, and then you have a team here, and fucking team here. This map's looking fucking clean. But basically you are surrounded and fucked from all sides in Hasi these days. So Hasi's pretty shit. I'm not sure why we're still there, but that's the top 5 for each map. This is awful to do, but I appreciate you sticking around and watching me do it. Thanks for hanging around. Thanks for all the questions. Thanks for watching. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. It'll probably be another Q&A or something like this. So thank you.